Ian Parker carrying the MMA handicapper load on his back for yet another week. Here with the hottest capper in MMA, I am Cody Merrow, producer extraordinaire, here with combat coach, joined by Ian Parker. Ian, how are you doing, my friend?
We had another late night of PFL last night. We kind of got robbed with Rory McDonald, who clearly won by decision, but the judges were not watching the same fight. But now on to the next one. Let's go UFC and let's get back on that win streak.
I'm not sure what the judges were watching in that fight, Ian, but you know what the good thing is about staying up late is that the pay window is always open,
Always
right?
open. I like that.
I love the fact that we have another UFC event going on tomorrow on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, wall to wall, UFC Vegas 29, Korean Zombie versus Ige. Ian, I love this card at the top, and we're going to start at the bottom. Casey O'Neill plus 125 versus Lara Procopio minus 155. How do you see this fight going?
Look, Procopio is a pretty tough fighter. I think it's minus 155 because of the experience, but I really liked what I saw out of Casey O'Neill in her debut, and I kind of like that plus 125. I don't know if I would really bet this fight per se if you guys are really looking like be disciplined and win money, but if you're feeling a little frisky and you want to throw something on the first fight of the card, I don't mind going dog money here with O'Neill.
Well, and we kind of have to, Ian, because people are out there in the comments. They're like, you left out fights last week. So we got some degenerate fans out there. So we're going to give every single fight to you this weekend.
There you
But
go.
next on the card is Joaquim Silva versus Rick Glenn, minus 134 versus a plus 105 kickback. Ian, very close odds here. How do you see this fight going?
Look, Rick Glenn is surprisingly inconsistent with his wins and losses. You know, I think over the years he's kind of been a little too predictable. And I think Joaquim Silva is a nice fighter on the up and up. So I'm going to go with Silva here at minus 134.
Love that play. Moving swiftly with the duck. Josh Parisian minus 137 versus Roque Martinez plus 110. Ian, it says Roque, but I don't know if I got that right. I like Rocky
I
Martinez
was going to
plus
say
110.
Rocky.
Who do you like in this
Yeah,
fight?
whether it's Roque or Roki or Rocky, I'm still going with Josh Parisian. I think with Parisian, he's a very interesting talent at heavyweight. I liked him on the Contender Series. You know, in his last fight, my issue with him though, and I kind of saw this coming, was his hesitation. You know, but he's a heavyweight that can go a full 3 rounds. You know, I think someone in him needs to kind of get started quicker. You know, I know at heavyweight that's kind of a weird ask, but if you see guys like Marcin Tybura, you see some guys like Ben Rothwell who have that athleticism, they can do it. He's one of those guys. I expect him to get it done. I actually thought he was going to be more like minus 165. So I think it's a good, really good value at minus 137.
Well, and clean insight there by Ian. But this next fight, we're going to have a little chaos. Chaos Williams minus 150 versus Matthew Simelsberger plus 120. And I won't ask you to pronounce that last name, but give me a play on this fight.
I'm a little surprised the odds are actually here. I thought Chaos would have been a minus 190. I think it's because of his last fight against Michael Pereira that he lost. And I think maybe they're thinking that maybe it was a little bit of a fluke that he knocked out Al Hazak Hassan, and I forgot who else he knocked out that he wasn't supposed to. But what Chaos Williams showed me in that last fight, takedown defense, you know, it's got to be good here because Simelsberger, Burger, Matthew, whatever you want to call him, he's a wrestler. He's going to come forward, but we've also seen that he doesn't have the best chin. I think Chaos knows what's coming, and I think he's going to keep the fight standing. I'm going to go with Chaos Williams here.
Ian loves the chaos there in that fight. But in this next fight, Kanako Morata plus 108 versus Vina Janjidoba minus 134. Another very close fight, and a ton of close fights on this fight card this weekend. Who do you have in this fight?
I think this is kind of tailor-made for Jandiroba a little bit here. You know, Morata is a very strong grappler out of Japan. Her hands are kind of suspect, though. They're a little average. She throws sloppy hooks just to get in tight and wrestle. But she's going against someone in Jandiroba who is like world elite class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And she's also actually a good wrestler as well. And I think her hands have gotten better. I like Jandiroba minus 134.
Vina Janjidoba, the pick to click for Ian Parker there in that fight, minus 134. Alexa Kamore, minus 265 versus Nikolai Negumarianu, plus 200. I don't know if I got that one right, but I got it right on the show this week, Ian. That's all that matters. But what is the play that I'm going to the pay window with?
I'll keep this one quick. I like Alexa Kamer here in a parlay. His last fight against William Knight. Sometimes these guys need to be humbled and they need to be shown that, you know, too fast, too quick on the up and up in these ranks is not always the best thing. Sometimes a loss earlier on really gives them a good education. And I like where he comes from. I like the team that he trains with. And I think he's a special talent. I think that loss gets put behind him. He gets the win here.
And that's a negative for Negu Marianu for Ian. I just got to flex when I know it that well. But Coming up next is a big flex, a couple of veterans in there for the UFC. Matt Brown plus 140 versus Diego Lima minus 177. Lima just lost to Bilal. Matt Brown plus 140, Ian. I mean, tell me why I shouldn't be playing that.
Matt Brown is not the same Matt Brown we've all learned to love. He's coming off 3 losses in a row, and they've been pretty devastating. Diego Lima has not had the best luck in the UFC, but he's still a really good fighter. And even in his fight against Bilal, he was giving Bilal some problems with the calf kick. As you saw, that was the one thing that probably prevented Bilal from finishing and really relying on his wrestling. I picked Bilal to win that fight because I thought the wrestling, the cardio was going to be the way to go. I didn't expect Lima, though, to really put up those calf kicks as well as he did. I think that will be the key here, too. Diego Lima should win this fight.
Well, a great breakdown there from Ian, but I'm still probably going to lay the plus 140 on Matt Brown. Yeah, I loved it. I love to see it.
Just send me the money, then I'll take your action.
I'm just going to give it to the MMA gods and then hope that good things happen for me. But coming up next, we're going to hope that good things happen in Wellington Wellington Turman, the weirdest Brazilian name I've ever seen, plus 100 versus Bruno Silva minus 125. Ian, how does this fight play out?
See, it's interesting, man. You see a guy in Turman come out and give Carl Roberson absolute fits in his first fight in the UFC. And then since then, it's like you sneeze on his chin, he goes down. Bruno Silva's the real deal. He's just been out for a little while. So I kind of sometimes question throwing money on guys in that situation, but it's hard to not take him at minus 125. If he was healthy and he had been active, this would have been a minus 200 type of play. So a minus 125, just understand he's been out for a while, but if he comes to fight and he does not suffer from ring rust, he's going to put on quite a performance.
When you love that, that's what we're trying to do, Ian. We give people the value. Sometimes it's about knowing what to do, but sometimes it's just about making the smart plays,
Appreciate
playing
that.
where you got the good value. Well, it's like when you're at the grocery store, sometimes the good cereal's on sale and you got to go for it. And sometimes it's $4.60 a box and you got to go for the generic stuff, but you got to play the value. Maybe not. You play a little richer than my blood, Ian, but that's okay. This next fight, Julian Rosa plus 120 versus Sungwoo Choi minus 150 is sure to be value for both of us as viewers. Ian, there's a lot of fights on this card that if you're a dedicated MMA fan, it has all the meanings, all the bones of a fight card that is going to pay off. Does this pay off for me at the pay window?
Well, I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch regardless of the price. But in regards to this fight, so here's my issue with Julian Rosa. I took him last fight against Nate Landauer because I felt the range. I felt that his chin would hold up in a firefight. He's fighting another guy with a similar type of range who throws more technically, who can keep the fight standing in Choi. Rosa's got a really underrated Brazilian jiu-jitsu game, but he never uses it. And I just don't know how long he can physically last taking these punches to the head over and over again. I like Choi here. I think if he fights smart and doesn't get into a firefight and uses his jab and really wears Rosa down, that's how you beat Julian Rosa. There's a big difference between tough and stupid. And I think Rosa's flirting with that line with his career because he's got so many other tools to use, but he just wants to prove to be a tough guy. And I think this is where the buck stops. I like Choi.
Durability is strength, but sometimes a weakness.
Yeah.
MMA, it's a cruel
MMA.
mistress.
It's
Coming up
cold.
next, a fan favorite Marlon Chito Vera minus 215 versus Davy Grant plus 170. Two guys that are always ready to scrap. They're going to scrap tomorrow night. And how does it play out?
I like Chito Vera here. I like him a lot. Listen, Davy Grant, there's no question the last 2 fights that he's had, one against Day and the other one against, I forgot who it was, but he was a big underdog as well. He came back both times to land that punch, and if he doesn't land that punch, he doesn't really throw a lot of volume. He's a good fighter, from the Ultimate Fighter. Like, he's got talent. I just think that you're going from like a Martin Day to a Marlon Vera. You got a hungry Marlon Vera who's coming off a loss to Jose Aldo. There's such a difference in competition. I don't think Grant's going to be able to handle Marlon Vera's kicks. And I just think as long as Chito doesn't pull a Cheeto, what I mean by that is don't start off so slow. Don't wait to the beginning of the 3rd round and start being you. Fight the way you did against Sean O'Malley. And if he does that, he's a top 5 guy in the division. So I'm going to go with Marlon Vera here.
Well, an experienced take there from an experienced capper like Ian Parker, and rolling with
Too.
all the experience in the world. Coming up next, a veteran Alexei Olynyk versus Sergey Spivak. The boa constrictor, 43 years old, 59, 15 and 1, 8 and 6 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight loss streak. His debut in 1996. He also lost to Chael Sonnen in 2006 when he was 17 and 2 in Bodog Fight USA versus Russia. But he also has a victory over Fabrizio Verdum in 2020. Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, 26-year-old Ukrainian, 12-2, 3-2 in the UFC, 2-fight win streak. Ian, I had to lay out for Alexei Olynyk, but give me the pick for this fight.
Look, as much as I love to go with Alexei Olynyk because the story's there, I think Father Time has finally caught up. Look, against Verdum, I don't know what happened with Fabrizio there. I don't think he took the fight seriously, and when it comes to that Ezekiel choke, if he can't get close to you, he can't get it. And I think with Spivak, with the range and the reach and the boxing he has, he's also got a lot of athleticism. So as long as he doesn't get caught in a weird position and try to prove that he can out grapple someone like Olynyk, he should get this fight. I would throw him in a parlay. I like Spivak here. I don't like that it's the co-main event. That's absolute crap. But
I don't like the fact that I'm pretty sure Alexei Olynyk lives within driving distance of you. So if someone comes up to
he
you at the
does.
grocery store, they go to give you a hug, and you start feeling that, like just like that, you're out.
Him, Marlon Moraes, all their kids go to my kid's school. I stay away. I
Yeah,
never
for,
picked
for
them, so
betting
I stay
against them.
away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you don't run into either of these guys coming up in the main event. It's tomorrow night, ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, wall to wall. It's at featherweight, Jan Sun Jung, plus 105 versus Dan Ige, minus 125. Chan Sun Jung, the Korean zombie, ranked number 4 in the UFC, 16-6 overall, 6-3 in the UFC. The 34-year-old WEC vet has a 4-year hiatus in his career from 2013 to 2017. UFC 263, that lost to Aldo. He then had to serve a mandatory military service for the nation of South Korea. His resume resumed in that year in 2017. He's then 3-2. His last loss was against Brian Ortega, who was going to challenge for the title. He goes up against Dan Ige, minus 125, aka 50K. He's number 8 in the UFC, 15-3, 7-2 in the UFC. 29 years old. He's fighting at Extreme Couture. He rattled off 6 wins after his debut against Julio Arce, led to an epic fight against Calvin Kattar, which he lost. He then came out in March against Gavin Tucker. He was going to fight Ryan Hall, but he looked impressive against Tucker. Ian, how do you see this fight playing out?
Take a bow, my friend. Take a bow. If you're reading those notes, then don't. But if that was my memory, you start to really become my buddy there because I do this all from memory. Listen, but here's my issue with Korean Zombie. He just doesn't change his style. I know that's what we grow and love to do, but now we're seeing that he can get knocked out and not as challenging as it once was, right? Dan Ige to me is just the smarter fighter here. Look, can Zombie grapple? Yes. Can he wrestle? Can he do it all? Absolutely. I think Ige is a better grappler. I think he's the better wrestler. I think physically he's going to be stronger. I also think his pace is very taxing. And what we saw in the Kattar fight, he could take damage. I'm hoping he doesn't get into a firefight. I hope he doesn't get overly confident because he knocked out Gavin Tucker. That doesn't mean you're now like this knockout artist. If Ige can impose his will, bring this fight against the cage and just grind and wear him down, he can get the knockout late. I do think his style is a good one for himself against Korean Zombie. Zombie does not do well against guys that grind. He does well against guys that stand in front and will and trade. I like Dan Ige here. I liked him better at minus 105. I obviously see the money is going to keep going in his direction. So if you do take this play, get it in as soon as you can, because I think Ige will be minus 140 by the time he starts that fight.
Get it in as soon as you can. That's what we're all about here on Combat Coach. And we are the quickest show, but we have the stamina to run near, far, wherever you are, straight to the pay window. It's Cody Merrow and Ian Parker. It's Combat Coach, and we're out.